And good afternoon, one and all, and welcome to another edition of Futsal868 Corner Talks. My name is Geoffrey Edwards, series moderator and president of the Futsal Association of Trinidad and Tobago. Futsal868 Corner Talks is an online meetup series where global sporting professionals share their experiences and perspectives on the fastest growing indoor sport in the world, futsal. However, in series past, in episodes past, we have spoken as to other matters which reflects sport in society. For this month of June, Futsal 868 will be hosting the four-part series entitled Sport and. The educational series will look at some of the sectors and professions that are part of the sporting landscape. Today, in episode 56, we continue with sports and project management. Our guest is Dr. John Lewis, Vice President of the Project Management Institute of Southern Caribbean Chapter. We're going to say good afternoon, Dr. Lewis. Thank you very much for joining us and for giving us the opportunity to speak as regards to one of your pet subjects, project management, but more specifically as regards to project management in sport. Before we even continue along those lines, Dr. Lewis, we're going to do something that we have never done before on the show, which is use the feature that in terms of screen sharing. So allow us to be able to first and foremost say thank you very much for joining us. And while we do that, Dr. Lewis, do tell us more about who you are. Who is Dr. John Lewis as regards project management?
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to the audience. And to Futsal and you, Jeffrey, thank you for allowing us this opportunity. The PMISCC has been on a campaign since its inception to promote project management throughout Trinidad and Tobago and the Southern Caribbean, and wherever else we could lend our ear and hands. So we've been doing this quite a while. We've been involved in many activities trying to put forward a good foot for project management. And we welcome this opportunity with Futsal to showcase once again that project management is a key element in every aspect of life. Later on, you'll probably hear where other areas where we've helped citizens and organizations. But for now, we welcome this opportunity and thank you so much for having the vision to partner with us to, at least in the first instance, deliver this conversation here today.
Well, I would like persons to recognize the fact that the Project Management Institute of Southern Caribbean Chapter, and we'll call it for short PMISCC, we became a partner, a member with them through a memorandum of understanding. And one of the important reasons for that was given the fact that sport is project-based. And one of our vice presidents is a PMP certified professional. And it was very important to understand that if it is we have to be more effective and efficient in delivery of services to Trinidad and Tobago, we need to do the right way. And very much interestingly, we saw it fitting to be able to partner with the best when it comes to project management as an organization through PMISCC. And we want to say thank you very much for that. So it's not one-handed, it's two hands come together, Dr. Lewis, as regards to this whole partnership. And we really appreciate you all being here with us in this regard. So we are going to look at the presentation that you have so kindly taken the opportunity to develop and to build with us. And I want to say thank you very much for that. Please, Dr. Lewis, I would like you to really walk us through, as we said before, project management. And as you have there, today we'll be looking at what it is, how to get certified, what institutions exist to deliver, In our second segment, we are going to look at why is it important, how to implement project management in sports, and when to implement project management in sports. And our last segment is going to speak to project management solutions, case studies, especially when it comes to PMI SCC. And it's very important for us to share what PMI SCC is going to do for the Futsal Association of Trinidad and Tobago, what they have done for other organizations in Trinidad and Tobago, as well as what they can do for you, who may be looking on and wondering, why do I even need to have them a part of us? Rest assured, Dr. Lewis is going to definitely tell us what it is. So we start with Dr. Lewis. Project management, what is it?
So it's been a buzzword for quite some time.
Yes.
But it requires some definition. And before you there, you see two definitions by two major areas in the world, the US and the UK. We follow the PMI methodology, which is the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to project activities to meet project requirements. In short, basically that says, we apply a structured approach to dealing with projects and looking at the outcomes. So a structured approach means we use knowledge or existing knowledge, use skills that we've developed for project management. We use tools, maybe a program, or in some instances a tool could simply be a spreadsheet, and then techniques in how to manipulate the different bits of data and information that we have to create what you call project plans, project schedules, risk management, and so on. So in essence, it's a toolkit for delivering successful projects.
Dr. Lewis, before we continue, and once again, guys, I want you all to understand that Dr. Lewis also brought another first to Futsal Association of Trinidad and Tobago and Futsal868 Corner Talks. So what we are going to be doing is a poll, and in the chat, both on Facebook and YouTube, to our viewers, we just sent a link where we're asking each of you all to be able to join us as we ask you the simple question as, what is your role in sport? So please take the time. You have 4 options: administrator, coach, technical staff, and last but not least, fan. So as again, it is in our chat, both Facebook and YouTube, if you're watching live, that you can be able to take the time to go on and join us in the discussion to answer your question. Moving on from there, Dr. Lewis. We recognize that project management, as well as you rightfully said, has other applications of it. Processes, methods, skills, knowledge, and experience to achieve the specific project objectives. Tell us, as regards to PMI, why should I be certified? Why is certification important in any way?
Well, certification, like in any other discipline, gives the users and the clients on the other side a benchmark by which to judge your capabilities. The PMP program is a very rigorous certification process, and it tells, once you've displayed that PMP acronym, that insignia, you're saying to the world that I am an experienced professional who can deliver projects according to the PMP methodology and structure. So it's important that you are certified, because remember, projects are usually very expensive and they have a short time frame, and a lot of risk as well. So you want to be able to use or utilize persons who are experienced and who are certified, who've been through the program, and we can then vouch for that person's capability. Now, there'll always be differences and anomalies, but the thing is, once you're certified, you give the assurance that you subscribe to a code of ethics and that you are qualified to deliver projects according to that methodology.
I'm going to be devil's advocate here, Dr. Lewis. My dad has been a PE teacher for he's now retired, of course, for over 35 years. Have done numerous sports and family days for both schools as well as the churches that he has been involved with. Big ones, medium ones, small ones. I grew up, as a child along with my other siblings, being involved in his production, so to speak, only to recognize that what he was doing was project management. And my mom will always say he always had a pen and paper, and every hour in the hour he used to get up and write and write and write. Should he have gone and do project management? Because I'm asking that question because many persons say they have the experience. I know what I'm doing. I don't need no project manager to come and tell me what to do. Why should people become certified?
Well, therein lies the problem, Jeffrey. You see, you mentioned a few things, that your dad had pen and paper. So he was disciplined to his task. He knew what he wanted to get done, and he made sure that he would follow the same process over and over. But as the discipline grew and the need for project managers grew and became in demand, what you found happening is that not everybody had the same one discipline to use the same rule book. So there had to be a way to bring all of those things in line and find a way to deliver the same methodology, the same discipline and task that your dad would use in delivering what he had to deliver. They had to find a way to bring all that together. In addition, when they did that, they found that other things became important. Risk management, quality, communications, all of those things, ethics, all of things, stakeholder analysis, those things became important. So rather than having people like your dad who is good with just this thing he's doing, you don't have persons who could deliver project management on any discipline, any sport, because the structure and the methodology is the same. Of course, you may give more here and less there and so on, but you use the same toolbook, the toolkit. So, and the thing is, what you mentioned there about your dad is true in nearly every discipline that is now certified. There were practitioners who were good in technology, which is my field. It was the same. You try to create a professional society, and then you had people who didn't have a degree and who didn't go through that rigor of certifying, complaining that they've been doing this for the last 20 years. How do you deal with that? But the only way to deal with it is get certified, have a certification program, and you have to adhere to it. If you don't want to adhere to the certification program, you're just not part of the program. You will do whatever you have to do in the sphere or the area that you're doing it, and that's it. And I'll give you an example later on about using this methodology.
I thank you very much for being comprehensive, both in terms of face-to-face and also online, looking at the different options that persons can explore. I'm seeing SPCS, I'm seeing CTS College, University of the West Indies, and even as you said, online providers, Coursera, UDEMY, and thank you very much for that, because that's very much true to the fact that there are so many options that can suit anyone and also anyone's pocket as regards to being certified in project management, which is good. Now I'm going to again speak to specifically sports, because for me the reality is sport is a developing industry in Trinidad and Tobago, and with it being developing, everybody is going to ask the question as regards to cost. We have also heard many times that persons speak to the fact that I am experienced, just as my dad. I am experienced. I've been doing this for so many years. But many times, because the passion that is in sport, everybody is involved. Doctors, lawyers, engineers, the garbage collector, everybody is involved in sport. And everybody believes that they know exactly what's the best for sport. So with that being said, many people don't believe that they need project managers. Dr. Lewis, I want you to tell them, please. I mean, you said it nicely before, But I really would like you to tell them in terms of sport, and we'll be doing this throughout our conversation for the next 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Why they need not only just project managers, no, but certified project managers is why?
Well, the thing is, the history of sport in Trinidad has always been focused on a few people. Sports administration was typically run by players, was typically done by a small group of volunteers who were involved in the sport and probably didn't want to play anymore or didn't want to play at that level, and they end up trying to help the younger generation, and they will use their time and resources and so on. So over time, when these interested parties, people had a vested interest, maybe their son or their daughter was involved as well, when these people move on, what they take with them is the institutional knowledge. So when you tell a guy who was part of your group, you're responsible for the small goals, you walk away and leave him with that because you know he's going to do it. But when he doesn't show up, what happens? Everybody in a disarray. You don't know who have the next set of small goal posts. Where does one live in? What's the number? You don't know because you know for some reason he got delayed or he just not coming because he vexed with somebody, and you end up in a with either you're not playing or you're using 2 pieces of grass to mark the goal or something like that. And that's a simple, very very simple example. You want your body's going to play small goal and the man with the ball didn't show up, right? So what do you do then? So that has been the experience on varying levels for many sporting institutions. I mean, I played cricket, I played football, I played hockey, I played badminton, all at in club level, and it's the same group of people. So having a certified project manager, you look more at the long-term development of the game. And I say development, I'm using that term loosely because it could be just simply the long-term sustainability of having people play a particular sport. You might not want to develop it much more than it is, but to keep the thing going. So you'll find that, let's say, our all boys team played football in the savannah. They keep cycling the people. As one decide to drop out, somebody else take over the responsibility, and they keep that moving. They're not going to go to play international sport or anything like that, but they keep that moving. So they've solved that problem by using simple project management, by assigning resources to and tasks to people as it comes up. So when you're looking at sport now at a development stage, you're looking much more down the road than just the game. So the game is part of it, but you're looking at the team down the road. So you're looking at maybe qualifying for the next tournament in Panama or wherever they have in the next tournament, or qualifying for the World Cup or something like that. You're looking down the road. So you start planning from now. You look at all the different variables. So having a certified project manager and an experienced one at that will lend itself quite nicely to that kind of development strategy. So having project management as opposed to event management is where you want to put your focus in terms of your development strategy and all your development goals, because part of your development strategy must be sustainability. If you can't sustain it, then your development will grind to a halt.
It's interesting that you mentioned the next cycle, the next event, the next tournament, because there's no secret that our World Cup campaign for Qatar ended, which means another cycle is going to begin. And is you put it so well when it comes to the fact that we have to plan. And this is where project management and certified project managers is very important to be able to help build effectively and efficiently our sporting landscape that we seem to not really and truly do it properly. I'm very happy that you mentioned that. In this slide, Dr. Lewis, it's very interesting to note that there are so many different certifications when it comes to project management. Which one of them, if not all, speaks directly to sport? Or can you go through some of them, a couple of them, that as I said before, I only knew about PMP. I see what kind of thing here. I see what kind of risk management professional.
And that just goes to show you how the discipline has been evolving over the years. It started off with simple PMP, CAPM and CMP. Those are the ones that are more common. Those are your baseline certifications. Business analysis actually is pretty new. It's a blend between business analysis requirements development, where you look at a business process and you look at process mapping and so on. So it has a lot of overlap in project management, and the PMI executive decided to integrate the business analysis professionals body of knowledge into PMI. So that's pretty new. You have the risk management professional. Now, for larger projects, risk is, so first of all, larger projects usually contain many sub-projects. So risk management becomes a very important facet of that whole project management effort. So you'll find, so again, the executive decided that project management and risk management is a whole new field on its own. So you build on your PMP and you do these specializations in project management. Portfolio management and program management, as I mentioned, an organization may have multiple projects. For example, FIFA, International Tennis Federation, they have projects all over the world. So somebody has to manage that whole, portfolio of projects. And typically, you would find that there be different levels of project managers dealing with a number of projects. When you're dealing with 150 projects, one person can't do that. You need to have someone who understands portfolio management. And in there as well, you have things like resource matrix, where you have to look at the resources across all your projects, because at the end of the day, every resource is a cost. So you want to minimize costs, and you want to be able to make sure you're on budget and make sure you're on time, right? So program and portfolio management, again, definitely help you in that regard. You have the scheduling, which is, again, another big part of your project methodology. Once you have all the information, you have to now do scheduling. Now, once projects have started, and sometimes it's 3 or 4 year projects, scheduling is important because, again, like I said, you have many projects and you're looking at time, budget, and quality, right? So, and cost. And,
I'm seeing this new one, Dr. Lewis. PMI project management. I know you just commented. PMI project management ready certification students.
Right. So this is again very, very new, and it's targeted at high school students. And in terms of getting them to understand some of the basic policies and procedures and tools that project management uses. And the last one there, Agile, that was taken from software development, where a lot of software development projects, they use an Agile methodology, which suggests that you don't do your usual waterfall process, which is a sequential process. You do something like, it's like a combination of prototyping and customer interaction at the same time. So you do something, you have a team, you do part of the project, you look at the results, you get feedback, you look at the quality, and so you keep doing that along the project, trying to, again, and the reason for this type of strategy is that you don't want to wait until at the end of the project to realize that there's something wrong or something didn't come out as you expected, and have to do a lot of cost overruns to fix it the way you want. Particularly for long projects where things change over time.
For anybody who's watching this show, I would like you all to understand that project management has been described as one of the most sought after careers for the fourth industrial revolution, which we are in or entering. So I want you all to understand that it extends past sport. Even though this is sport and the series, project management, as we have seen how it evolves and explained by Dr. Lewis, we want you all to, as viewers, to please respect what it is and don't think that as simple as the execution of it may be, it is very complex in terms of how much you can do with it. And thus, by all means, if you know anybody, even a student, as has been recognized and shared with us by Dr. Lewis, please share with them this information so that they too can be able to find a career, an opportunity in project management. Dr. Lewis, I want to say thank you very much for putting in this slide. This is amazing stuff, to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
So we go into sports and project management, Dr. Lewis. I think we should take a break before we give the people them that. But in terms of the poll, 100% of our viewers are fans.
Wow.
So it looked like we have to do a part 2 to this, to speak directly to administrators, coaches, and technical staff, Dr. Lewis.
This is so typical because the people who need to hear it are not on. This is so typical.
Yes, very much so. Very much so.
You know, the people who need to hear this are not even considering signing on to get an appreciation of what we're talking about.
That's not a problem.
There's a plus to that. Maybe some fans can move over into administration.
Well said. We'll be right back. You're watching Futsal868 Corner Talks, episode 56, Sport and Project Management, brought to you in association with PMI, Southern Caribbean Chapter. We'll be right back. So we are back in part 2, I should say segment 2, as regards to sport and project management. As you just saw, this is part of a 4-part series which speaks to sport and, where we look at different sectors and professions that directly work for the betterment of sport. And we really hope that our viewers would see the importance of finding alliances with these sectors to be able to improve their country, their communities, their schools, their organizations, and most importantly, their athletes. Because at the end of it all, it's about the athletes, athlete-centered. So as we move on, Dr. Lewis, we are speaking to sport and project management. Talk to us.
Right, as you mentioned before, project management in sport is the key to development. If you have a development strategy, or you're thinking about a development strategy, or you're thinking about how to move your discipline from where it is now to somewhere else, a project manager can help you, get those thought processes out and to help you put the elements of your plan together. Now, the project manager is not a subject matter expert. That is, he's not a sportsman, a sports administrator. He doesn't know the rules of the game. But that's where the sportsmen and the sports administrators come in. But what he can do, or she can do, forgive me, will help you put all the necessary information in the various baskets. And then you can sort the baskets out and then align them together. As you know, FIFA and those other big organizations, they have development projects all over the world, and they manage that from there. Well, they manage it through the country, but there's a higher management team that looks at the projects overall, and they decide how to move ahead. As I mentioned, portfolio and project management at that level. So it's a key development strategy. And if you go to any of these websites, you would see their development plan, or you go to sports and development and you see all the different projects. And what you will also find is that they have programs, they have canned solutions for in project management. So once they develop a solution or a strategy, they put it out there, and they allow other institutions to use it or pay for using it. But it goes through all the details of putting a plan together. So having done it once, they can now sell it. So it suggests to administrations, particularly national level, that you can use this as a to build capabilities that you could then either resell or assist the other disciplines, their administrations, in getting their programs and development strategies up to speed. And the good thing about it is it becomes a medium of communication. You will have a plan or keywords, terminologies, repositories that you could use to help communicate what you want them to understand. So when they send reports, your reports in a particular way has a particular set of information, and you use that to feed into your strategy. So you have an ongoing knowledge base to work with. So project managers can help with that type of development.
Moving on to why would taking a project management approach be useful? And before you speak to that, Dr. Lewis, I just want our audience to understand from a personal standpoint, being the Futsal Association of Trinidad Tobago, as I said in the beginning, sports is about projects. Every single execution is project based. So when we made a decision to approach PMI SCC was just from that, to be able to ensure that we have effective and efficient delivery of our projects to all our stakeholders. And Dr. Lewis, please share some more as regards to why a project management approach is useful.
Yeah, as I mentioned before, most administrations use volunteers. And volunteers, as one of the best administrators in this country said to me one time, when we were debating whether to bring on someone as a coach, and people had mixed opinions. But he said to me, well, this person have the time, whereas the good ones don't have the time. So what are you going to do, right? So volunteers typically have the time, but not necessarily the skill. So we're looking at a professional versus a volunteer that is an unskilled volunteer in the area of developing a strategy, managing projects, doing assessments, and so on. So that's the first thing, is that professional skill versus volunteers. That's one. Second thing is a project manager can look at multiple projects. So you may have a development project, but you may have another project that you want him or her to look at, and they could look at that as well. And then they could dovetail all together into one final plan, right? So that being able to look at different projects with the same eyes, the same assessment, and the same type of tools to bring alignment from different parts of the organization is critical to any kind of development or sustainability goal, right? The other thing is that a project manager does not have to be on site all the time. You have people who have been doing it, your volunteers. So what he will do is give them the tools to work with. So you don't have to be paying, or if you're paying, or you don't have to be using project management skills all the time, 8 hours a day. Once they've developed the tools and the processes by which you should operate, then they can train staff to do it, and they could run. And so that will help in terms of introducing a different skill set at the same time, building the capabilities within the volunteer staff to be able to do the day-to-day work in a much more productive fashion.
It's interesting that you say all of that, because when you look at PMI.org, project managers are described as change agents. They work well under pressure and are comfortable with change and complexity in dynamic environments. With that being said, it's really interesting that given the COVID-19 pandemic, and the watchword for 2020 was pivot and pivoting, it will be very interesting to see if after a show like this, and we as Futsal Association Trinidad Tobago will continue to spread the word as regards to PMI and PMI SCC, to see if other organizations, sporting organizations, NSOs and NGBs do not get up to the time with involving project managers into their organizations, as was said, to be change agents and who are comfortable with change and complexity in dynamic environments for which sport lives. That
I
will be
think,
interesting to
yeah,
say this.
absolutely. I think the pandemic really raised project managers to another level. It opened the eyes of many businesses that you need someone who understands how a project operates and who can deliver the same results without being there. And while you had some organizations not trusting that, they feel the person has to be there, it was so evident that the project management discipline was able to still maintain businesses as they went forward in delivering their projects, albeit not at the pace that they expected, but with all the curfew and restrictions. But the work still moved on due to the project management approach. So that was a very telling thing, and I think if any organization doesn't see that during this pandemic, well, it means they either probably out of business by now, or they're probably now thinking about looking at project management to help deliver on their objectives.
Mr. Dr. Lewis, I would love to be able to have this particular slide as part of our Instagram post for this week. Please go through this with us. It is wonderful to see the least in terms of the analogy that you have put in for sport and project management.
Right. So yeah, this was, I think, it was wonderful for me as well putting it together, because there are so many similarities between sport and project management. And as I listed here, coaching, a project manager mentors the people in the project team, and where necessary, other people as well who interface with the team. So that learning and showing how to benefit from the information that's been presented is so evident in sport, as coaches and people who come in to try to help the athletes, whether it's in terms of technique, in terms of psychology, etc. A project has a project charter, and every team has a playbook for on game day. How are we going to go about playing the game? Now the project charter is a little bigger than the playbook for the game, but the same analogy, the same idea of how we're going to proceed with this thing. What are the key factors? What are the objectives? What are the outcomes? What are we looking for? What are the risks, etc. So pretty much the same type of information. Your project manager is your captain, your team leader, and he will drive the team to deliver. He will at times become part of the team as well, in terms of getting his hands dirty and in the trenches. So you have a team captain as well, who doesn't necessarily have to play, but he knows when he has to chime in and lead the team forward. Stakeholder analysis, a very key element of project management, and that translates into, you have to know your opponents, you have to know their strengths and their weaknesses. While stakeholder analysis does not focus only on your opponents, it also focuses on who your partners are, your alliances, within the team and outside of the team. Excuse me. You have your project owners and sponsors. Well, you have the same type of structure on the other side as well in terms of sport. But the other one, the professionalism and ethics, which is another key element of projects. Remember, projects bring, as a project manager, you come to know a lot of information that would not necessarily be in public knowledge. So you need to be able to understand professional, to deal with the job professionalism and to make sure you have the highest amount of ethics, because you don't want to slip and cause any kind of bad press or bad reputation for yourself as well as for the client, right? And of course, in sport, there's the same fair play rules of the game and players pledge and so on, where you promise to do the right thing and not to bad tackle anybody.
Well, Dr. Lewis, I am seeing from our viewers, someone said, I love this slide, right? And another commentator has said from Mr. Karen Modest, this comparison slide is golden. If sports stakeholders can adapt these project management rules, they can definitely take sport to another level. So I said earlier, and the viewers have said, Mr. Dr. Lewis, very well done in regards to what you have done when it comes to this very much well done. Continuing, project management is winning is important, assessments are fundamental, planning and design of a strategy, execution, monitor and control, quality control, communication, team management, leadership is critical, change management. Before you speak to that, in reading all of that, I have a comment here, and I think it's interesting. These administrators believe that they know it all, so no need to tune in. Hence the institutional problems that we have with sport in TNT and in the region. The reason I decided to read that comment before continuing on this is because I recognize that it was in this slide. Change, if it is we go from the bottom up, change management, leadership is critical, team management, communication, quality control, execution, monitor and control, planning and design of a strategy, assessments of fundamentals of SWOT, which speaks to strategic planning. These fundamentals, Dr. Lewis, when it is we look at sport as it is right now in Trinidad and Tobago, I wouldn't even extend it to the Caribbean because we have to dance home before we dance abroad. These are extremely important fundamentals. Some of you might even say core values to be in a sporting organization. Tell us how project management can be able to assist organization with these core values.
But what you see there before you is a continuation of his previous slide, which shows that sport and project management have the same thought processes and desirable outcomes. Same issues that affect both of them is evident. So if the difference here is that project manager will take that to a much wider audience, a much wider scope. So for example, in sports, you want to win the game, you want to win the tournament. But you want, as a project, your win is sustainability, is development, having 50 players in the next session or making it to the World Cup or to the Olympics or something. That's your win. But the team's win is within the game, within the tournament, within the first round or so. That's where win. But project management takes it a step further. You do assessments, but project management takes the assessment outside of the team, outside of the club, outside of the association. What are some of those challenges we face? Maybe we're not getting funding. Maybe we're not spending enough money doing fundraising. Maybe our team, we can't get players. Maybe people are stealing our players. What are our challenges? What are our problems? The problems could be internal, it could be external. Maybe we don't have a ground to play on, to practice on. You have to travel far. Our teams or members coming from different ends of the country. What are some of those challenges? Once you understand that, you get a fundamental understanding of where you are, a situational analysis. You then look at a strategy, and the strategy will be dependent on those pain points that you would have first identified in your assessment, and then try to build on that to take you where you want to go, because you can't go there if you don't deal with these issues that are before you. And so in so doing, part of your strategy would be maybe you go to schools and try to recruit from schools or start a school training program or start to buy players, or look at up the islands in terms of getting feed for players to come into the country on some sort of CSME type arrangement. Something, you need to do something to get the players. Then you might want to say, okay, well, a player, and then set standards for the player. Because if you're going to start to do that, you want to be able to put a standard in place, because you don't want everybody to come and some of them can't play. They have only a left foot, they only have a right foot. You don't understand the rules. You want to get some basics in place. I mean, it's okay to take them, but you must have a strategy to deal with it. Either you don't take them, or you have a plan to make them fit into the organization.
Doc, watch me now. You're singing real good, you know. Hear what I say, right? Hear what I say. The colloquial coming out here right now.
Yeah, well, it's local thing
now. What I first and foremost, many sporting organizations don't even have a strategic plan, right? Without a vision, man shall perish. So when you're speaking about they need to know where they're going and how they're going, a lot of them don't even have that. Secondly, we live not only in terms of modern day, but more specifically in Trinidad and Tobago, we're in a situation where everybody, as one commentator says, they know it all. And secondly, everybody wants quick fixes. As far as I'm seeing here, project management is the old adage: measure twice, cut once. But we like to cut and cut again, cut corners and cut and contrite and all kind of cutting we has cut, right? But you are saying measure twice, cut once, build everybody together, right? How, and I'm going to put in a real position here. How are we going to change the culture of Trinidad and Tobago in the sporting landscape with project management, given what I just said, as two of some of the many problems we have? And I repeat the two. Many NGBs, many NSOs do not have strategic plans, as well as we are a quick fix society with the pressure of our fans and other stakeholders who want immediate results, and then everybody wants to look good. How are we going to fix that, Doc?
Well, first of all, to the start of that discussion there, cut twice, measure twice and cut once. We have something called change management in the discipline that handles situations that where you measure twice and you cut 3 times and so on. But what that does, what change management does, is recognize that there's a request for change, and an assessment of the change is done before you actually make the change. Typically, without these tools, the change will be done by whoever came up with the idea in the first place, because either they are a good talker or they control most of the resources for the discipline or something like that. So, but change management is where you will go to make changes to your original plan, and changes do happen, particularly in our environment where everything is still, nascent. It's still being evolving and being, born. But how do we change the behavior? Well, one of the things in sport, particularly not in sport, I should say, every gathering of personnel, every gathering where could be a group of technology professionals, could be a group of sportsmen, administrators, it could be a group of calypsonians, could be wherever you have groups and group congregating and group dynamics, there's something called control. And the question that you're asking is, how do we control that desire for control? Everybody wants to be the president. Everybody wants to say what should happen next. What should happen next? Everybody wants to say who they should let in. Everybody wants to say how much complimentaries they should hand out. Everybody wants to sit in front. Everybody wants, their boy to be a player on the side. And that's the fundamental question. How do we control the control? Having a project management plan to look at your development strategy, it will have to take into consideration the behavioral dynamics in the sport. or whichever discipline it is. You have to. That's why your stakeholder analysis is very, very critical, because there are people who part of the team who are counter to the team because they can't get their way, so they will pull it down. That happens in every group. That's group dynamics. It happens in every group. So you have to create the processes and the tools whereby you level out level out that type of desire for control. So there's a process for this. There's a process for that. You have something to say, and it's just like meeting rules. There's a process. You have to meet the requirements for things to change, and it requires a strong leader. It requires a strong leader to insist that you follow the rules, because we will all break the rules. People will break the rules.
Doc, I really respect that last statement, and we are getting requests from our viewers to have a part 2. And with that being said, we are already 52 minutes into this football game, with the game going at full time until 60 minutes. So we only have 8 more minutes. And Doc, I know that you have plenty more to say. So please give me the opportunity to request. This is the home fixture. I want an away fixture with you, right? I want an away fixture with you, because right now you're winning. Right now you're winning. You're winning. I need to come again.
Yeah. You get more points in the away fixtures. I don't mind.
Right. So we wouldn't rush it, Doc. We wouldn't rush it, because there's a lot. I am very excited as regards to. And when I get excited, I speak very fast. So yes, I'm excited as regards to what I'm hearing. I'm even more excited as regards to this open, honest discussion to be able to help our sporting landscape. So please give us the opportunity to have a part 2 to speak more to the slides. But we're going to take another break, Doc, the last break of the show, where we will come in and speak to some case studies that you have mentioned. Yes, so let's take a quick break. For those who are joining us, you're watching Futsal868 Corner Talks, Sport and the series. In part 2, this part, we are speaking sport and project management with Dr. John Lewis, Vice President of the Project Management Institute of Southern Caribbean Chapter. We'll be right back. Before we continue, we want to send prayers and best wishes to one of our futsal players and to all who are watching here live. We will not go into details, but please, I ask you all to say some prayers for Mr. Mark Ramdeen and his family during these difficult times. Mark, you are in our prayers, and we know that God will protect you, will guide you and guide your family during these difficult times. But those who are joining us, welcome back to Futsal868 Corner Talks, episode 56, where we speak project management, sport and project management. We have with us Dr. John Lewis, Vice President of the Project Management Institute, Southern Caribbean Chapter. Doc, is the first time I was able to say it so slowly and so well, because I'm trying to calm my excitement. Woosa. I think I'll have some of my water.
Yeah.
My Futsal868 branded water bottle. I think I'll have a sip of it before we continue. They say they not normally don't do those things on but it's our branded bottle, so we could try something, a little marketing, Doc?
Oh, of course.
But as we continue, we are now going to speak case studies and project management solutions. Again, as we said before the break, Doc, we are all about results. We want results now. Interestingly enough, is that I have heard so many podcasts after our defeat and us being knocked out. So many persons had different, of course, emotionally driven, And but as well as you found a lot of persons had solutions that were external, i.e., looking at this model and that model and this person and that person and this country and that country. Why don't we not adopt this and do this? But here we have in Trinidad and Tobago case studies. We have solutions from the project management standpoint. Doc, tell us some more to this.
Sure, certainly. Well, I just I don't like I don't like the way you say solutions. Not you personally, but the word solutions. What we try to do is to assist other organizations to realize and recognize the benefit of project management and introduce those methodologies and the framework into their operations. So it's not really a project management solution per se, but it's getting them to recognize that this discipline can help them do their work better, enhance their performance, achieve their objectives. So what we do on a regular basis is we continually upgrade project managers. So once you've attained your certification, and you don't have to be a certified PM to attend our sessions, but we have every month we try to hold technical sessions on project management and the way it's applied, either locally or internationally. We have speakers from all over, and they share their experiences, their lessons learned, their knowledge with our members. Now we have about 600 members throughout the Southern Caribbean. So we need to keep them up to date, and by doing that, they also earn certification, project development credits, so that they have to maintain their certification, and they use that to maintain their certification. Every 2 years, we have an international conference. As a premier conference in the region. We bring speakers, international speakers, local speakers, regional speakers, to talk about new things in project management, the new trends in the industry. The last we had was Industry 4.0, which was 2 years ago, well received. So we try to keep our project managers, our members, and the community, the business community, fully aware of what's happening in project management. It's also an opportunity to network with other project managers, opportunity for vendors to show their wares, for people to make contacts, to see who are the project managers of today, and to really send home that message that project management is the way to go. So those are the two continuing education opportunities we present to members and the business community. In addition to that, we assist organizations. We assisted the Olympic Committee, Copper Foundation, Girl Guides, and we maintain a strategy, a strategic relationship with IDB in terms of where we could collaborate to use project management. With the Copper Foundation, it just does this relationship has just started, and what we're trying to do is to build a bureau of project management professionals that can assist NGOs. In terms of, as you had mentioned before, a lot of organizations don't have that discipline, that strategy. And this is a funded project, and the outcome of that is to could be a resource for NGOs to be able to go to this resource and look for projects, make a request for a project manager, or choose a project manager. We're not sure how it's going to be done as yet, but is creating some standards and some guidelines that will allow NGOs to assess their needs and then choose the kind of resource that they want. Still, again, a work in progress, but the idea there is phenomenal, and it's groundbreaking, because here we are creating a pool of project managers and a set of standards that will allow an organization to make an assessment of what they need, and then to choose a project manager based on that documented need. The Girl Guides, it basically was going to schools and talking about project management, similar to what the new certification that was mentioned before, talking to forms 4, 5, and 6 about project management and using that discipline in their daily lives, either for studying or for projects at school, and trying to get them to understand how that could make a difference by having a structured mindset towards dealing with challenges that they would have. And the TTOC was probably the biggest project of all. Was quite successful. The president, Mr. Lewis, he invited us in to look at his operations, and we were able to look at, do a stakeholder analysis, document their processes, understand the gaps that were needed, and in addition to that, as I mentioned sometime before, the staff, being a small staff, they were able to look at what they needed to get done, and was now able to delegate that work based on the framework that they were using. So, sometimes typically you want somebody to do something and they say, look, just do this letter for me, or prepare this spreadsheet, and you expect them to know what you want, right? And then it comes back and then it's not what you want, and you have to either do it yourself or then it'll go back and it's a back and forth. With this type of work that we did with TTOC, we were able to put those things in perspective. So when work has to be distributed or delegated, it was already in a framework where people understand what is required and they're able to do it. So that means productivity increased, because a person only have to delegate once and they only have to send it back once, maybe once or twice. Of course, things are not always perfect, but you could see where things could easily improve adopting that type of approach. And we were able to help TTOC in that regard, at least getting it off the ground and understanding their gaps, understanding their training needs, understanding who their stakeholders are, and of course, adopting a strategy going forward. I don't think that we are done, but with them, but it'll be for them to come back to us if we want to go to the next level. But doing this fundamental assessment, as I mentioned as one of the steps before, it's critical to understand where you are, what are you doing, where are your resources, what's your resource matrix, who's doing what, and having a common communication plan for communicating either work or thoughts, processes between the head and the different members of staff and the external stakeholders. So this is what we were able to do, and the response has been phenomenal. We got kudos, because people now eyes are open, they now want more, but of course you could only do so much at the time. But it definitely was groundbreaking for them, and we hope to do more of this in the future.
It's really interesting, to say the least, because when I heard that the TTOC worked with you all, I saw it as mentorship indirectly, in the sense that if TTOC can work with you all, and I can see directly and indirectly the result of you guys working with them, and hats off to Mr. Brian Lewis and the entire TTOC team in terms of what they're doing for the continuous growth of sports in Trinidad and Tobago. It was just, it added fuel when our executives met to be able to decide to move forward to engage PMI SCC. And I want to say kudos to you and your team, Dr. Lewis, led by Mrs. Tam, who have been doing an extremely great job. I know that it's a lot of work, but I want to say thank you very much to you all.
So we have a VP of volunteerism who handles that, who's in charge of that particular aspect of our operations, and yes, Ms. Cassandra Ramkeri Singh. She did a phenomenal job in getting those volunteers to do that, those bits of outreach.
Lovely. Doc, you'll be interested to know that since we spoke and we tell persons like don't have fans, that since then we have gotten sport administrators and coaches coming on. So you were like somebody get a message and tell them, hey, jump on the chat, boy. Jump on the conversation.
Yes.
We have one more poll, guys, before we leave, and we want you all to go in, and we're going to send another link as well. This is the second link. Again, it is on our YouTube and our Facebook, whereby we are asking the question: do you think that project management can help your sporting organization? And in this regard, because there may not be much coaches or administrators, even if you're a fan of tennis, you're a fan of hockey, you're a fan of anything, do you think that it can help your sporting organization? So use the link that we just sent to go and vote. We will tabulate the results at the end, and we will present it at the end of the show. So please, guys, go ahead and vote, interact with us. This is another first on Futsal 868 Corner Talks, and we must say this is because of the advice of this gentleman, Dr. John Lewis, who really and truly assists us in thinking outside the box. So again, Doc, we thank you very much for that. We have project management should be an Olympic sport, Doc. With the Olympics being next month, you come and turn up the whole thing now. Project management should be an Olympic sport. Tell us why you say such.
Well, I came across this article in doing some background work for this presentation, and I saw this work by Robert Phelps, and I found it was quite interesting. And of course, it dovetailed into what we were talking about. And his thoughts were simply that project managers are asked to have their skills and endurance and ability to deliver projects in all kinds of weather, all kinds of situations. They have to be quick, they have to be correct, they need to be able to respond to change and make sure the project remains on schedule and on time and within budget. And he also concluded by saying that these are the corporate athletes that businesses look to for when they want to develop any new product, any kind of development, any kind of change in the business environment, sustainability. These are the guys that businesses look to. So they perform like athletes at Olympics. They have to have all the necessary qualities of an Olympic athlete. So he was making the analogy that this should be an Olympic sport. So I thought it was quite interesting. So I thought I'd present it there for you guys. And of course, in the graphic there, that PM box, that's the body of knowledge for project managers. So yeah. You're on mute.
It has been an utmost pleasure, Doc, to have you join us here today to speak project management in sport. Give us your closing remarks, because again, as we said before, I'm booking you in for a second round. The away fixture.
Yeah,
Give us your closing remarks, Doc.
No problem. I just love the opportunity to talk about two things I like very much: sports and project management. When I first was introduced to project management, even though I was doing it as part of my daily activities, I became certified in 2004, and it was something that really kind of put icing on the cake for me. And I really love, because they deliver results, and that's the kind of person I am. I like to deliver. I'm results oriented, so it kind of dovetailed in my personality and my way of doing things. And while I like sport, I'm not a sport enthusiast. I play hockey and so on. I'm not in front of TV watching sports all the time, but the whole idea of performing at a very high level is what gives me the goosebumps. And when I was playing, I played my best. I started sport late, well, hockey in particular, but I was playing cricket since I was under 19 and so on. So this opportunity gives me a chance to say so many things I've been saying, either in the various organizations that I've been in and participated in, and things that I wanted to say that I couldn't say then. Or, when you're in administration, you have to mind what you're saying. But the thing is, I was going to give an example before we go. This is a very critical example for sports administration, but it holds for everybody as well. Think about this scenario. You have an event that is 27 years in a running. It is the premier event for the year. You have all-inclusive crowd. Anybody could participate. You have big money being made, 150K for a one-day event. And the one day is not even from 8 to 4, it's from 9 till about 3 or 4, something like that. You have that type of niche event. Nothing like it in the rest of the country. Probably not in the world. I shouldn't say world, sorry. But that kind of event, right? That kind of, when you see something like that, you want to like, yes, I could do something with this. And you want to bring in project management, and you want to make it into the best ever. And this was an event that's never broadcasted. So you never hear it on the radio. You never see it on TV. You never saw nothing about it afterwards. And this was an event because lack of project management, it died. It is no longer an event in the calendar of Trinidad and Tobago. It hurt my heart to see that after 27 years. And you know why that happened? Stakeholder analysis. People who ran the thing, it always was done late. So it was a lot rushed. It was in May, all April, rushing to put it together, and bam, on the date, it came off. But when the people who had that institutional knowledge, they became old, infirmed, died, it died with them. And they don't want to give up the information. They don't want to give up the critical information. In the dying year, the 27th year, they brought an event manager to try to revive it. But it was too late. An event manager can't do that. You need a project manager to build that, to prepare the ground for that thing to grow. An event manager could only run on the day itself. You need a project manager, and that is what will happen when you don't bring in project management into the mix early enough. Because if you don't, you might get it persistent, and it's not going to go anywhere from there. And the minute the key person disappears, it will fall down. So you need project management if you want sustainability, if you want development, if you want buy-in from sponsors and from well-wishers, fans, and everybody. Once something running smooth, you'll get fans, you'll get everybody want to join in. So project management is the way to go if you're looking for sustainability, development, building your fan base, getting the best players. You have to have that underpinning philosophy of project management as part of your operation.
What a way to end the conversation, Doc. But before we go, I just want to be able to highlight the PMI Southern Caribbean chapter. You can find them on Facebook and LinkedIn. Keywords PMI Southern Caribbean. It is right there. And please be reminded of their conference, which will be held on the 27th and 28th of October. You'll definitely be getting more information on the show and also on our social media, as we are a partner of the PMI SCC. And you will definitely also know when PMI SCC is being a part of what we do, as you'll see a total new revamped Futsal868 in terms of our execution. So, Dr. John Lewis, I want to say thank you very much, sir, and wishing God's richest blessing to you and your family during this time. It has been a pleasure, to say the least, as regards to what it is you have brought to the table this evening. And please be safe during these difficult times. Please be safe, especially as these numbers increases, deaths increases. Again, I ask that God continue to guide you.
Thanks, Jeffrey, and the same to you as well. This was definitely my pleasure. Looking forward to part two.
Definitely. So have a good one, sir.
Cheers. Bye, everyone.
All right. Bye-bye. That was Dr. John Lewis. A great show to see the list. A lot of persons have been saying it. Let's see. Thanks, Dr. Lewis. Dr. John Lewis. Thumbs up. This was very informative. These little things will really help the big picture for sports. Natasha said, great presentation. And it continues. It continues in terms of what has been said and the remark that has been given to what a great show done by Dr. John Lewis. We want to be able to ask you all, please, to give the support that is needed for shows like these and conversations like these, to help us in supporting us, where you can like, subscribe, and follow our social media pages. That's like on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow us both on Twitter and Instagram. If you haven't done it already, please do, as well as Futsal is about 5. So I encourage you to get 5 other persons in your network to do such. Like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Instagram and Twitter to keep up to date to these great conversations, as well as to all things sport of futsal in Trinidad and Tobago. So on behalf of the Futsal Association of Trinidad Tobago, my name is Geoffrey Edwards, President, and we want to say, wishing you all safety. Please, guys, I'm begging you all to be safe out there. Please follow the Ministry of Health protocols and do have a great one ahead. God's richest blessings to you and yours. Bye-bye.